hierarchical clustering of users' preference, and fifth one, building a price predictor for an auctioning website. So in this way, he has produced amazing results using the upcoming data learning, machine learning process. So such exposure in applying both software as well as statistical tools in industry is agreed to come as a resource person for this certificate course on programming skill development using Python and R. So he's completely taken in charge of R programming for the next 3 days. So on behalf of Department of Statistics and on my own behalf, I welcome you, sir. Now you take over this section. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the introduction.
Welcome, sir.
So good afternoon to all. Sir has given a very detailed introduction about myself. So we will get started. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Screen is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, thank you. Today, in today's session, we are going to see about R fundamentals. So let me give you the agenda for the 3 days. So as Saktivel sir said, I will be handling R for 3 days, that is today, tomorrow and coming Monday. So today we will be looking at R fundamentals. Tomorrow we will be looking at data structures in R, and on Monday we will be looking at a case study. So in that case study we will be implementing whatever we have studied on day 1 and day 2. So before starting off the session, I know that a session from 2 to 5, that is post lunch, will be a bit difficult, but I will make sure that the session is easy and interesting as possible. So before getting into R, let me try to help you relate to R. I am quite sure that all of you know what C and Java are. So let's try to understand them simply. C is a basic programming language and Java is an advanced programming language. In similar terms, as far as analytics is concerned, R is a basic programming language and Python is an advanced programming language. So in the industry, we are currently using Python for analytics projects. Let's see what is R. R is a free open source programming language. R is used mainly for 3 purposes: data analytics, visualization, and reporting. So let's see one by one. Data analytics means, so effectively in analytics means using various techniques in order to identify new patterns in data and to derive insights or meaning from such patterns, which will create value to us. Next, coming on to the second aspect of visualization, it's common that if data can be viewed in the form of a visual, that is a bar chart, a pie chart, or a graph, it gives us more information than seeing it on probably a tabular format or so. So R is capable of creating visualizations. Finally, let's talk about reporting. So R is capable of creating reports which will be used by higher ups in companies to take decisions based on those reports. So now I hope you would have got an idea of what is R and what are its main purposes. Let's move on to the next slide. Now let us see what are all the various fields or areas that are using analytics. So when I say analytics, it's essentially R and Python. The first one is digital marketing or online advertising. A good example for that is YouTube ads. I am quite sure that all of you know about YouTube and watch videos on YouTube. Perhaps many may have their own channels on YouTube too. In YouTube, if you see, whenever you watch a video, similar videos, or whenever you subscribe to a channel, similar channels are suggested to us. Also, when you are watching a video, ads related to your tastes or your characteristics will be displayed. All this is possible only through analytics. So they analyze the type of videos that you see, the type of channels you subscribe to, and play videos, make suggestions based on your tastes and preferences. The next one is insurance area. So when I say insurance, it's a very broad area. It can be health insurance, it can be life insurance, it can be vehicle insurance, etc. Here, I am going to talk about health insurance. So, as you might be aware of, in health insurance, the premium charged to you is standard based on the age range to which you fall under. For all people who fall under a particular age group, the premium will be the same. But when you use analytics, it will analyze each and every person's individual characteristics and behavior and help us calculate and determine customized premiums for each and every one. Coming on to the next point, which is healthcare or medical field. Let's take an example wherein I am sick and I am suffering from cough. The doctor has asked me to drink Benadryl cough syrup morning and night, say 2 bottle covers every day. So this is a suggestion made by the doctor approximately. But using analytics will help determine accurately the dosage of medicine that will be required for each patient based on his medical condition. The fourth one is banks. So generally we go to banks either to deposit money or take loans. When I say loans, we take loans for buying houses, buying cars, etc. So even in the case of banks, loan premiums are standard values. Of course, they have concepts such as CIBIL score to calculate the loans, but while using analytics based on our characteristics, based on each and everyone's, each individual's earning potential, his lifestyle, whether he or she is married or not, how many children he or she has, all those characteristics will be analyzed and customized loan premiums will be charged to each and individual customer. Let's come on to the next point, political campaigns. Let's take the example of USA. As all of you know, in USA, we have two political parties, Democrats and Republicans. Let's say that the Democrats party is making use of analytics. So when we use analytics, analytics segments or classifies people into three main categories. First category is pro, that is people who will always vote for Democrats. Second category is against, that is people who will always vote against Democrats or vote for Republicans. And the third category is they may vote for Democrats or they may vote for Republicans, depending upon the political campaign. So the political party, say here it's Democrats, the Democrats will focus on the third category because the first category of people are anyways going to vote for Democrats. The second category of people are anyways not going to vote for Democrats. So there is no point in concentrating more on these two segments. So they will wisely concentrate only on the third segment. This will help them win in the elections. Of course, they have used analytics in the recent past. Last but not the least, tech startups. I am quite sure that all of us have a profile in Facebook and spend most of our time in Facebook. In Facebook, we usually create a profile initially, and then based on what we post, what are the posts we like, what are the posts we comment on, what are the posts we share, etc. Facebook analyzes all those transactions or communications that we do and provides us friends suggestions. So if you see, Facebook suggests friends based on the school in which you studied, the college in which you study, and the company in which you work in. Of course, Facebook goes to the extent of friends of friends. So you can easily understand the extent to which analytics is used for making such suggestions. Finally, it's cab startups. Earlier, we booked cabs in Fast Track or say NTL. Nowadays, those cabs are there, but they are not much relevant. We have Uber and Ola that is currently in trend. If you try booking a cab via Uber or Ola, you can see that the prices will be customized. If I try to book a cab, I will get a different price, and if you try to book a cab, you will be charged a different price. So that's based on analytics. They use demand, that is the number of people who want a cab, supply, the number of cabs that are available, and rating. So when I say rating, if your rating is very good, then you won't be charged a very high price. But if your rating is poor, then you will be charged a higher rate for that. So I hope this will give you a great idea about how analytics is used in real time. Let's move on to the next slide. So this one is first program in R. Obviously, if you take any programming language, say C or Java, the first program is usually a print program. So you may be printing hello world, hello your name, etc. Here too, we are going to do the same thing. So print hello R. So as you can see, the output is in bold hello R. Print is an inbuilt function and hello R is the argument. So for print, we don't have return types, but in general, R doesn't have return types. I will help you understand this concept easily by relating it to C. In C, a function usually has a function name, a return type, and arguments. But in R, you have just function name and arguments. Return type is not mentioned. Can anyone say why return type is not necessary in R? Okay, I myself will tell it. R has the capability to identify the data type of a value automatically, and hence you need not mention the return type of the function. Actually, return type of a function tells what is the data type that is returned by the function. So let's try executing it in RStudio. So in RStudio, you have to select a particular statement and press Control Enter or run. I'm sorry, just a minute. So you can see the output displayed on the screen, hello R. We have successfully executed the first program. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now we are going to talk about data types in R. There are 4 different data types used in R. They are numeric data, character data, logical data, date, and POSIX CT. I hope that you all will be familiar with numeric data, character data, logical data, and date. POSIX CT may be new to you. Anyhow, we will see what each data type means in R. Also, data types are known as modes in R. So let's start with numeric data. So numeric data is the most common data type in R. So when I say numeric data, it includes integers as well as decimal values. So in C, you will see that integers are represented by int and decimal values are represented by float. But in R, both will come under numeric. So all values from minus infinity to plus infinity come under numeric data, which includes positive values, negative values, and 0. So let's see the various functions related to numeric data. So is.numeric is the first function that we are going to see. So this function will return true or false. So I am going back to the previous slide. Here I will discuss in detail about each of the data type except logical data. That is, logical data will be discussed as part of other data types. So is.numeric function is a logical type function. It returns true or false, and it's related to numeric data. That is, if the input given to this function is a number, it will return true, else it will return false. Also, by default, R takes numbers as decimals. So we have to convert them into integers if we want so by putting capital L after the number. So you can see the example displayed on the screen. J equal to 5L. So like is dot numeric, we have is dot integer 2. So that function tells whether a given number is an integer or not. Finally, we have class function. Class is an inbuilt function in R which returns the data type of the value that is given as argument to it. Here, 5L is an integer and hence it returns integer. Let's try executing these in R. As you can see, 28.1 is a number and hence this function has returned true. Let's try some other example.